You gotta believe the White Sox, Angels, and Marlins off to hot starts in the new MLB season, while playoff teams like the Braves, Brewers, Tigers, and Royals start slow. Let's talk about it. So I fully acknowledge that it's likely that none of these teams will be around to be a threat in a month, let alone at the end of the season. But based on what we're seeing from these three teams, I feel like we need to talk about it. As I mentioned, this has been a strange first week of baseball as we're recording this, where we've seen really good teams from a year ago and teams that we usually expect to be good, teams that were in the playoffs like the Braves, Brewers, Tigers, Royals, Twins, and Astros, off to slow starts, with the Braves still being winless and the Brewers just recently picking up their first win of the season. But teams like the Marlins, Angels, and White Sox are making noise in the season's first week. We're going to go one by one with this because I want to give flowers to each of these teams, which again, I acknowledge there's no way they can sustain what they've done in the first week, but again, let's give them their flowers here. The Marlins, first off, they're 4-2. They had 3 walk-offs in their opening series against Pittsburgh. Mind you, it was against Pittsburgh, who I'm still angry at for doing nothing to address their offense, despite having one of the best 1-2-3 punches in the rotation in baseball. But that's beside the point. They notched 3 walk-off wins against the Pirates, and in the one game they lost in that series, they nearly did it again. They lost 4-3, but they scored 2 runs in the 9th inning, so they tried to do it all 4 games. They also picked up a win against the division rival New York Mets, despite only picking up 3 hits, all 3 of those hits coming off of Mets starter Kodai Senga, who had a good start. Do I think this is sustainable? Absolutely not. But Sandy Alcantara is back healthy for the Marlins and looks really good. Do I think he's going to be with the Marlins in August? No. But if he stays healthy and looked like he's looked so far this season, I think it's very possible that he could finally capture that Cy Young Award that we've thought for years that he was going to eventually win. Jumping to the Angels, this one makes me smile, I have to admit, because part of me, it doesn't make sense to me. Because this should not be happening. This should not be working. They should not be 4-1. And at the time of recording this, they are playing the St. Louis Cardinals and they are leading. So they could possibly be 5-1 by the end of today as we're recording this. They are first place in the AL West. They're coming off of back-to-back hard-fought, high-scoring, extra inning wins against the Cardinals, who, as I said, at the time of recording this, they are currently leading the Cardinals with a chance to potentially sweep that series and go to 5-1. Granted, their first series of the season was against the White Sox, but the no phones rule that has been instituted by the Angels this season, although divisive from others outside the organization, seems to be working for the Halos. The players on the Angels have come out and said, no, this was our idea. We brought this up. And it extends to the entire team, even manager Ron Washington and the other coaches. So this seems to be galvanizing this group, and they're playing at their highest level. They're at their ceiling right now. Again, can they sustain this? I don't think so, but of the 3 teams that we're talking about in this video, I do think the Angels have the best chance to be a surprise team at season's end. Why? Simply because of one thing. If Mike Trout can come back and be healthy, if Joe Adell can be the top prospect that they once hoped he'd be, and so far things look like they're going pretty good. They're scoring runs, or at least they have against the Cardinals, who are, at least at the start of the season, playing pretty well. And Ron Washington is a stickler for the fundamentals, so I don't think this team is going to make a lot of mistakes. And the AL West this year, there's so many question marks in that division. Between the Rangers have the best lineup on paper, by far in my opinion. but their rotation has question marks. They've been ravaged by injuries in recent years. They did win the World Series in 2023. Wyatt Langford looks like he has the potential in a few years' time to be one of the best players in baseball. So to me, the Rangers should run away with this, but you never know with that team. I'm not thrilled about what I'm seeing with the Astros. I've learned never to count them out. Frember Valdez is good, and Spencer Arrighetti with another year under his belt in that rotation is fine, but there's holes in that rotation. Jose Altuve looks very uncomfortable in the outfield. Kyle Tucker is gone. Alex Bregman is gone. I don't know what to expect from the Astros, and they're starting slow. And then you have the A's, the homeless Athletics, who have some good talent, but they're a few years away, if that, from competing. And the Mariners, who I'm upset with for not addressing their offense despite having maybe the best 1-5 pitching rotation in all of baseball. And yet they're riding with Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, and Randy Arozarena at the top of the lineup, and that's pretty much it. They didn't address it in the offseason. They didn't go after guys like Juan Soto or Pete Alonso. However much of a stretch those signings would have been, but at least you could make an effort. They didn't do that, so I don't know what they'll give that. I said in my videos for the AL West division prediction that this division is going to come down to second place, in my opinion. I think this division is Texas's to win. It's going to come down to who comes in second place, and that's going to be between Seattle and Houston. It's going to be who makes the big move to get the bat, or who makes the big move to go get. Obviously, Seattle doesn't need another starting pitcher, but Houston could use one. Who makes a move to go get the Sandy Alcantaras or the Jack Flahertys if their respective teams don't get it going? Like, who goes and gets the Jose Barrios? Who goes and gets the big bat at the deadline? But if none of that happens, this division and potentially a wild card spot is wide open. And the Angels, despite, this shouldn't be happening because their leading hitter, the highest average on their team through 5 games, is hitting .286. And while that's a good number in August for your season, we're 5 games in. It's April 2nd when we're recording this, and you're seeing guys like Wilyer Abreu in Boston hitting .663. Those are the numbers you expect to see from guys hitting well in March and the beginning of April. And yet the Angels' top hitter is hitting .286. This shouldn't be working, and because it shouldn't be working is exactly why I think it might. Because if there was a guy, if Joe Adell was hitting .700 right now, if Zach Neto was hitting 7 home runs, I'd be like, they're going to cool off. That's going to stop. That's going to end. But none of that is happening. This team just seems galvanized, and I give a lot of credit to Ron Washington, Mr. Fundamental, and I give a lot of credit to these players to be like, hey, let's play distraction-free. And so of all these teams, I think the Angels have a shot. Do I think it's likely? No. But I think they could mess around. And if the Mariners and Astros don't address their holes, and if Texas has injury issues, which they have in recent years, this division isn't the strongest. And there are wild card spots out there to grab. So, look, we'll see. I think if the Angels get anywhere close to a wild card spot, Ron Washington is your AL Manager of the Year, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to give flowers to the Angels and their 4-1 start, potentially 5-1, depending on how today's game shakes out against the Cardinals. Can they go for the sweep? The last team I want to mention, and they are 2-3, but I still want to talk about them, the Chicago White Sox. This is a team that I wrote off when I did the AL Central Division playoff for good reason. They won 41 games a year ago. They set a record for most losses in a Major League Baseball season, 121. And here they are, they're 2-3 through 5 games, but one of those losses was 1-0, and they're third in all of baseball in team ERA. The White Sox starters did not allow an earned run through the first 4 games of the season. That is 28 2/3 innings pitched to start the season without allowing an earned run. That first earned run finally came in their 5th game of the season off of starting pitcher Shane Smith. But why I want to talk about this, why this is newsworthy, is because I look at this rotation. I look at this group of guys that did this. And obviously last year they had Garrett Crochet. He's gone. So the starting five rotation that did this, that went 28 and 2/3 innings without allowing an earned run: Sean Burke, Jonathan Cannon, Davis Martin, Martin Perez, and Shane Smith. Outside of Martin Perez, I've never heard of these other four guys. And I consider myself a huge baseball fan who's very knowledgeable of teams and their players. And I've never heard of these other four guys. The name Jonathan Cannon does ring a bell a little bit, but that's about it. Probably came through the pipeline at some point, but that's about it. And not to mention, the guy that broke the streak, the guy that allowed the 2 earned runs, Shane Smith, he allowed 2 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings in his Major League Baseball debut. Never pitched in Major League Baseball before. And he went out and continued a scoreless streak for a period of time and pitched really well. These four no names and Martin Perez, no offense to them, that makes it more impressive. They don't have a Garrett Crochet. Long gone are the days of James Shields. These four dudes and Martin Perez started the year 28 2/3 innings, no earned runs. Yes, they're 2-3. Yes, they're not much different on paper than the team that lost 121 games a year ago. I don't think this is sustainable. But they did bring in Will Venable as their new manager, and there seems to be, however small, a semblance of a culture forming on the South Side that was so desperately missing in the previous years. Again, I do not think this is sustainable for the White Sox, but it is very impressive that they've managed in the first 5 games to be competitive, to put offense. I believe they've already earned 2 shutouts this season. One of them was 9-0. I believe the other one was 8-0. They've managed to put up runs. They've managed to pitch lights out, at least their starters. In Shane Smith's start, where he broke the 0, he pitched well through 5 2/3, and then the bullpen crapped it away. But this is impressive. These 4 guys that I honestly have never heard of, and Martin Perez, 28 2/3 innings. And on top of that, you have Andrew Benintendi, their best player, now that Garrett Crochet is gone, hitting .353. Returning to the player we saw him be with the Red Sox when he was Rookie of the Year candidate and a Golden Spikes Award winner coming out of Arkansas. Brooks Baldwin hitting .364. Michael A. Taylor hitting .333. Again, not sustainable for the long term, but man, am I impressed. With all the things they heard in the offseason about how bad they were, with all the things they heard about how dysfunctional they were, and they come out to start the year with fight, with gumption. I appreciate that. So let me know if you think any of these teams have a chance to be relevant come July and August, or if there's another surprise team that you think is going to make noise in Major League Baseball this season. Let us know in the comments. And until next time, for Empire Sports Talk, I'm Roman Gennaro. It's a good day to go 1-0, and I'll see you on the next one.